Peace, what's going down? This is actually a pretty serious video, so I'm just going to jump right into it. This is the kind of video that I think is incredibly important and could save a producer's life in a lot of ways. I recently spoke about a producer losing $1 million off of a beat sale because they inadvertently gave up their equity in the record. In this case, it was their publishing / writer's share, aka their equity in the underlying composition. So if this stuff seems like a foreign language to you, please watch this video, okay? This is why I made it. Let's be honest, you're not gonna find these videos anywhere else. Why? Because I make them. So it would really help me out if you subscribe. If you've already subscribed, what also really helps is if you like the video and leave a comment. It's hard in the era of clickbait videos on YouTube and negativity in the producer community, and I appreciate your support. Thank you so much. So to start things off, there's a major problem in the music producer community, which is, a larger problem in the overall music business. And the problem is that we're not getting equity in the music we create. And it's happening, we talk about how the music business, the labels, people wearing suits in office buildings are so evil and greedy, right? All of that has trickled down. Things have changed now. We're leasing beats online. We're working directly with artists. So on both sides of the picture, the people making the beats and the people purchasing them, there's this general lack of knowledge. And I think that creates a worse situation than, if not worse, equally bad than what traditionally has been happening in the music business, where the major labels are just taking advantage of the creatives. Right now, we have a situation where the creatives are taking advantage of each other. Now, even when I speak on this and I try to explain it, there's a backlash. Just read some of these comments. I was talking about a custom beat, and someone was trying to, buy it out from me. So I would get nothing, no equity in the song, which means no royalties ever. And I was just charging $500 for a custom beat. Paying $500 for a custom beat, then having to share rights is ridiculous. Not just in this case, but in any case. Well, he said in any case, and then he said if you want royalties, lower the price. So clearly he can't even agree with himself. And then goes on to say some really asinine shit, talking about if you're an unknown producer, you don't deserve anything, but if you're metro booming, then I would get it. So he's doing what we used to call back in the day dick riding. If you're an unknown producer, you don't deserve anything, but if you're a celebrity and I think you're just so cool because you're famous, and granted, metro booming deserves his equity in a record, but so does an anonymous producer, that doesn't have that level of fame and notoriety, because they put in the same amount of work. So my point is, he's dick riding and he's immoral. This guy's awful. When I'm buying beats for my nephew, I only buy them outright, no lease, no nada. If it's not outright exclusive right work for hire, I'll leave it on the table. Bitch, leave it on the table. I don't share rights for paid beats. I work with producers who believe in my sound and split. Anyway, this is just a weird thing. My bad, I shouldn't have shown this one. I've done joint releases, promoted together, blah, 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 but that's the time to do splits. Upfront payments plus a master split is wild. What's wild is the fact that he's presenting this as a norm. I'm gonna tell you straight the F up right now. Every time I've sold a beat to a major label, even my very first beat, and I got jerked. I got $4,000 for my very first major label beat agreement. I got $4,000 up front and 3 master points. So I got a split in the master and $4,000. And it was, by my standards, a bad deal in the sense that there was no point bump. I should have gotten way more as an advance. $4,000 is nothing. The album went platinum. I'm not gonna bellyache about it, but I'm saying what he is saying is objectively wrong. And he's saying it just so that producers can read it and think, oh wait, I don't deserve a master split if I'm getting paid. And then we have this guy jump in, and you always know somebody's about to say something ridiculous when they don't put a space between A and part. Unless you were a part of recording the song, no producer deserves a cut of the masters. Which is, I'm gonna jump into this because this is fucking stupid. Like, this guy needs help. His family needs to stage an intervention and actually help this man, not just because of his spelling, but because of his fundamental ignorance. So there's a lack of education, as you can see in those screenshots. These recording artists have a fundamental misunderstanding of how the music business works at its foundation. The foundation of the music business is intellectual property law. Now, what's worse is that the music producer community doesn't have a good grasp on this either. The music producer community is full of beat makers who brag about selling beats without worrying about splits. The music producer community is full of beat makers who couldn't explain the difference between a mechanical royalty and a sound exchange royalty with a gun at their head. If you're selling beats and you don't know how to negotiate, or even what to negotiate for, or why to negotiate for a split, this is why I made this video. We're the ones who have to protect ourselves. There are lots of rappers and lots of managers out there who will give us fair deals off top, but there are many who will not. And it's our jobs to educate them if they simply just don't know, because a lot of them don't. And it's our jobs to advocate for ourselves, because if we're offered a bad deal and someone's trying to take advantage of us, they're not going to do this work for us. We have to save ourselves in these situations. They're taking advantage of us if we're ignorant to how the music business works. This is what's disheartening though. Like this guy's a producer. He says, I'm gonna go with the most realistic and just say we need money. Have you seen the price of food? Not all of us have a platform to pay our rent. Some of us got to take what we can get. So his point is, if I'm a producer, I'm just gonna sell a beat for whatever and get cut. So this is the weird thing, right? A lot of producers express this sentiment throughout this dialogue, which is producers saying, hey, I'm just trying to make fast money, and that's just what it is. You can't tell me I need to negotiate for splits. That's not realistic. Number one, it's very realistic. Number two, if you're kind of puffing your chest out and posturing yourself as this fast money getter, you're just out here hustling. What part of the game is getting money in one way, but not in two ways, which is front end and back end, which is the norm, which is how the music business is set up. It doesn't make sense for us as producers to willingly give up something that we're entitled to, let alone brag about it. So let me just start off with the fundamentals about the music business. I can summarize the music business in one sentence. It is the exploitation of one or both of the copyrights of a recorded piece of music. Music is different from every other piece of intellectual property out there. That's why when people try to make comparisons about leasing beats and leasing cars, or building a custom beat and building someone a house, it just can't be done, because a house and a car don't generate royalties. A house and a car don't come with two distinct separate copyrights. A recorded piece of music does. That means anytime you have a recorded piece of music, that recorded piece of music automatically comes with two separate, distinct copyrights. Two, every time. Which, guess what, is a beat. A beat is a recorded piece of music. When you make a beat, it's recorded. You can listen to it. It's there. It's tangible. And these two copyrights are there for all of us, songwriters and composers, rappers and beat makers. It's there for us to be able to make money in the long term, in an often difficult and unreliable business. Now, you know I love this damn chart. These are the two copyrights that are created for every piece of recorded music: the master recording, the actual recording of the song, the composition. So when you make a beat, it's fixed in tangible form. You can listen to it. That's the master recording. However, someone could listen to that beat, listen to the chords, listen to the melody, and go off and create their own version of it. The melody, all the bits and pieces that they can listen and then duplicate, that's the composition. You could literally write out the composition on a sheet of paper. It wouldn't be a recorded piece of music. It would just be all of the elements that went into the recorded piece of music that can then be played by anyone, replayed by anyone. Usually people consider this part publishing, which is, I think, bad, because publishing is just this small part here. It's a very small part. And it's not even, it's a share. It's a share of your equity in the composition. And a lot of people they believe, and they'll go out and assert that the mechanical royalties come from the master. They don't. People think mechanical royalties are what you make off of like your distributor pays these. Mechanical royalties are not paid by TuneCore or a DistroKid. They're collected by agencies like Harry Fox and MLC and so forth. It's actually really convoluted. I don't want to get into all of that. I just want you to know this is the music business. So every time you create a beat, you own both sides of this. And every time you release a song, each side of this copyright coin, each one of these copyrights is potentially generating all of these different royalty streams. And if you compose the beat, you're entitled to that, unless you did some stupid shit and agreed to give up your entire claim to something that you created. So I'm telling you not to do that. This is why I'm making this video. And I'm going to explain why it's actually very fair. So if there's a rapper watching this who's thinking, oh my God, this is so unfair, producers are so greedy, trust me, I'm going to get to that. And I'm not going to be bashing rappers. I'm actually going to lay out, I think, an extremely fair situation so that rappers don't feel like they're being taken advantage of and losing money in situations where they're paying for beats. So why do producers deserve master royalties? You saw that screenshot earlier where some idiot said producers don't deserve master royalties if they weren't a part of the recording process. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And that person, again, their family needs to intervene. Producers create a fully produced master for you to add vocals to. So without vocals, that piece of recorded music is still a master. When you add vocals, you've added to the master. So yes, producers deserve a share of the master royalties. I'll explain more about that later, because a lot of people will say, well, they don't deserve half of the master. That's fine. I'm not disagreeing with you. We'll get into that. The second question is, why do producers deserve a co-writer's share of the underlying composition copyright? A lot of people think songwriters are only lyric writers. How do you think, if you believe this, how do you think people used to compose music back before computers existed with a pen and paper? Many people still do, actually. This is songwriting. If you're sitting there writing sheet music, writing notes on a sheet, or writing bar chords, or just writing, however it is you write, you are writing music. Lyrics aren't required to write music. As a beat maker, you're writing a top line melody, a drum score, a bass line, a chord progression, an arrangement, etc. You are writing music. You're not physically writing music, but if a rapper goes into the studio and freestyles their verse without ever having written it down, they still wrote that song. So there's no good argument here that beat makers don't contribute to both the master and underlying composition. So let's just get that out of the way. All right, both of those copyrights a beat maker has a claim to, both of them, period. I'm not trying to hear shit else, because you can't argue against it. You just can't. So then here's the question of the hour. If you license a beat, should you pay royalties to the producer? It feels like the producer is getting paid twice. They get paid the fee to use the beat, and then they're getting royalties, right? Well, firstly, you're not paying them royalties. The distributors and the PROs and the radio stations and the TV stations that pay the PRO, those entities are paying them. And they're paying you too. But I get it. You feel like you want all your money because you purchased the beat, you invested in marketing, you did this and that. Here's the thing. Producers, you need to start being able to explain this. This is a solution. I cannot think of a more reasonable solution to create harmony between the most bitter rapper and the most ignorant producer on the planet, or the most ignorant rapper and the most bitter producer on the planet. There is nothing more reasonable than what I'm about to present. The funny thing is, it's industry standard. It's been happening forever, and people act like it doesn't exist. It's something called recoupment. It's so simple of a concept. I don't even know why we're fighting about this stuff. If a rapper leases a beat from you, I'm talking to rappers now, and producers, you should be able to explain this shit to a rapper. If a rapper leases a beat from you for $50, then allow them to make that $50 back off of the song from their distributor before cutting you in on the master royalties. In fact, certain distributors, such as DistroKid, I believe, lets you select a recoupment amount. They let you define it. So they could just type in the recoupment amount as $50. And then automatically, once the song generates $50 and pays it to the rapper, then the producer royalties start coming in. If the song never makes any money, well, then the producer doesn't get anything. Nobody does. But that's fair, right? If it does make money, the rapper makes their money back first before the producer gets paid. And then the rapper can't say, well, the producer's getting paid twice. It's like, no, you got your money back. You're at zero. Now, some rappers will also say, well, we spend money on marketing too. Well, it recouped those costs too. If you paid 50 for the beat and, 500 for the marketing, then recoup 550 or half of that, whatever is fair, whatever you work out with every party involved. And so get your money back first, by all means. That's a solution. Everyone should be happy by that. Because I'm sick of hearing, well, the producers should contribute an equal amount of money to the marketing. But if, you spent that money and I wasn't a part of the process, make the money back. You spent $1,000 on whatever it was. Hopefully it was more direct marketing, like Instagram ads or YouTube ads or something. Cool. We both benefit from you spending that money. So make $1,000 back, and then once you've made that $1,000 back, my royalties start at zero, right? We both start at zero. So you're not being taken advantage of by me. We're just now two co-creators, and you got your money back. And now you can take the label hat off and put the artist hat on. And on the master side, you can give me, whatever we agree to. Maybe it's 20%, maybe it's 15%. If it's not 50-50, oh well. On the composition side, we're equal co-writers because the composition side is totally separate from the master, and that's a 50-50 split if it's just the two of us involved. Again, those royalties, I don't want to get into it. I'm just trying to have a conversation about the morality of all this. But in today's streaming era, the master accounts for the majority of a stream. Something like 50 some odd percent, 56% of so-called streaming royalties are being paid on the master. And then the rest are coming from performance royalties and mechanicals and this and that. And even on the master side, there's also sound exchange, which is non-interactive royalties. It's a mess. Get that chart. I'm gonna add a link to the chart in the description here, so you don't have to just keep rewinding and pausing. The whole point of this video is, one, producers, you have to understand the business enough to explain to artists that you collaborate with why you deserve splits, and then competently negotiate on your behalf for splits. Artists, hopefully if you're watching this, you can understand that this actually isn't an unfair system, and you can also come to the table and ask for something from the producers, which is recoupment. I don't think there's anything unreasonable. This is what the labels have been doing forever. If all of us understand the music business and understand, number one, that we are equal contributors to the song, and number two, that there are ways for both parties to win, then we can find common ground, and we can all walk away from a situation benefiting from it because we all created this music together. And whatever you put in, you can get right back. And there's no need to argue with me on TikTok about this. We can join hands and waltz our way into a new, bright and beautiful future. What a wonderful world that would be. Thank you for watching.